Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be building a cutting board from a cutting board kit I bought on Amazon for $50. So let's get to it. So let's take a closer look at what we have. In here should be some walnut, some cherry and some maple. I can tell this is walnut. And then cherry I believe. And this is maple. Now, someone wants to correct me in the comments below, please do. So I checked through the boards just to see the condition of them, and the only one that I found a major issue with was this one here. Not too sure what went on there. It's just a little bit discolored and there's a little bit of kind of indentation. Not sure if that was from shipping or from the milling process, but we'll work with that and make sure that it is on the bottom side of the cutting board. This kit online and it's ready to assemble, but you do need a couple of other things before you can start or make the cutting board. You're going to need glue. You're going to need some type of waterproof, water resistant glue. Type 1 2 or Type 1 3 are two good options. Just make sure they are water resistant on the label. Then you're going to need clamps. I got some Harbor Freight clamps. I got these, which were $12 a piece, and I got 3 of these little kind of more flimsy ones for $7 a piece. This is the design I decided to go with. We've got the maple in the middle, we got walnut, cherry, and then we got 2 pieces of walnut, 2 pieces of cherry, then we got walnut, cherry, like we do on the other side. Preference, how you think this would have looked better. In your opinion, please do leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear of a different combination that I can maybe do the next time I build a cutting board like this. I'm ready to go. I've got some brown paper down here, and that's in the hope that I don't get my piece of wood stuck to my clamps. I have seen methods where you use bits of pipe and PVC pipe. I don't have anything spare to use that. I don't have any pieces of wood that are the same thickness, so I think this is going to be the best way to do this. So I have my Titebond 2 in this lovely glue box. I got my pieces turned over, and I'm going to do this so the good side, or the side that I'm calling the good side, is facing the clamps, and in that way I know that the clamps are somewhat level, so I should get a nice level edge on that front face. Then the back side can pick up all of the imperfections in the piece of wood. This is my first time doing a glue up like this, and a spreader would have came in handy instead of using my finger, but I got there in the end. 24 hours later, it's time to get the clamps off. No idea how it looks on the other side, so let's get them off. It was at this point I had realised just how much I'd screwed up by putting brown paper down on the bottom. As you can see, it was stuck to the board, and I started pulling it off and it just left an absolute mess. So we got good even glue squeeze out here from the looks of things. This paper was a mistake, but when I scrape the glue off, hopefully the paper will come off with that. I just grabbed an old chisel and started scraping the glue and paper off. It came off relatively easy, but it did look bad for a period of time. I then took 80 grit sandpaper, my random orbit sander, and started sanding the cutting board, and this really cleaned it up really well. You don't need many tools to complete this project, but a circular saw does come in handy. I used my circular saw and an offcut as a straight edge. I then use my pencil to draw lines all over the board. I'm using this as a guide to make sure I sand the board evenly. It's the first time I've done this on any of my projects, but it's something that I've learned recently, and I think the results that I got from this were great, as it made sure that I didn't sand any piece of the board more than the others. I repeated this process with 120 grit and 220, and then while sanding with the 220 grit, I put a small chamfer on all of the edges just to make sure they weren't too sharp. They didn't turn out perfect, but I really do like the look that they gave, even though they're a little bit off on each side. After sanding with 220 grit, I sprayed the board down with some water and let it dry. What this does is make any fine little grains stand up and make the board feel rough, so you can come back over your 220 grit sandpaper and sand it perfectly smooth again, and then this will be less likely to happen the first time the board is washed. So to finish the board, I have this Howard's Butcher Block Conditioner. You can make this yourself if you have some mineral oil and beeswax, but I thought I just got to buy this a little bit easier. I'm only doing one cutting board, but if you're going to be making multiple, you might want to make your own. So instructions say to apply the conditioner with a clean cloth and allow it to sit for a couple of hours or overnight. This allows the conditioner to soak into the wood. I was very impatient and came back a couple of hours later and buffed the remaining conditioner off of the board, and it looks great. I'm really impressed with how this turned out. Here we have it, the cutting board looks great. If you don't have the ability to mill your own wood down, then this kit is excellent for you, or if you're just doing one or two. This is a really easy process to make. You just needed a few clamps,